What if nothing is wrong with you? What if something happened to you? Welcome to Regulate and Rise, where regulation is the path to liberation. I'm Lianna, founder of the Emancipation Frequency.
And I'm Tracy, founder of Ruha Rising.
And today we're exploring a simple but life changing shift for many people. What's wrong with me versus what happened to me? Because
Mhm.
most people aren't struggling with who they are. They're struggling with their nervous system, what it had to learn in order to grow. And once you understand that, everything changes.
Mhm.
So please accept our apologies for being a little late. We had a little technical difficulty, but we're going to jump right into it. So, what's the cost of what's wrong with me?
Mhm.
So, Tracy, what does it actually do to a person when they believe that they are the problem or that they have a personality or character flaw? And that's very common
It
with nervous
is.
system dysregulation.
It means you get stuck inside of yourself and all that internal self blame and everything you do or think about or how you interact. It's all rooted in that internal self blame, that negativity. So your nervous system is constantly dysregulated. You're operating from survival mode. So when you do that in interactions, you're only seeing one side truly. Your body's not able to handle interaction, seeing different points of view. You're just stuck, thinking you're the blame and everyone else is perfect or what have you. So basically, you just get stuck. It's a one sided response.
Okay. And it's a response where people try to fix themselves versus trying to understand themselves. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. You think you need to be fixed when you just need to understand, why do I react this way instead of responding how I want it to be, how I want to respond, how I want my life to look. You don't need fixing. Fixing is like taking a screw and screwing it into the hole to hold something up or hold the furniture together, but you're not addressing what's inside. Is there something else wrong with the furniture that is falling apart? Is there something else not wrong, but going on within me or that I have experienced that's making it hard for me to be how I want to be, to respond instead of react?
Yeah, like and some examples are like if we have anxiety,
Mhm.
sometimes we think we're too much.
Mhm.
And then if we shut down and
Mhm.
we don't even know why we're not doing whatever it is that we need to be doing or feel that we need to be doing, then we
Mhm.
think we're lazy. We start labeling ourselves with all these different
Mhm.
labels.
Mhm.
um, when we have anger, we think I'm broken, something's
Mhm.
wrong with me, I don't understand, it doesn't compute.
Mhm.
And then if we're people pleasing, and I know because I've had this before, it feels like you're weak.
Mhm.
like why am I continuously trying to do for this person or these people when
Mhm.
I don't understand, because like I'm not getting anything in return and I'm constantly, you know, putting myself out there to thinking I'm doing it from the heart, which typically I am, but
Mhm.
it becomes this thing that makes me feel weak.
Mhm.
And with this Leo personality, that's hard to deal with.
Yes. With And with anyone, in a sense, we're all kind of broken somewhere. There's little slivers within us of things we've gone through. There are little pieces of brokenness within us that I think I disappeared. There I am. So, we have these cracks inside of us, and we are capable of healing. We are capable of self awareness and looking at ourselves. But every now and then, those cracks get water in them or get something in them that triggers us or can trigger us to feel like we
Hmm.
need to people please. Um, we're not good enough. We're too much. And those are the times we may take in what everybody else is saying because we don't know any other way but to internalize because we're not aware enough to go outside of ourselves, to do something differently, to see where's that other person coming from? What has their experience been? Is this why
Hmm.
they're acting like this? Others blame us for things, and sometimes I have to get my clients to see or understand that's their problem. If they see you're too much, you are too emotional. I know I get this all the time. You're too emotional. You're too sensitive. That just means you can't hold what I have to give. So,
Exactly.
I can give in a relationship, and if it's too much for you, that just means you're not the person that's healed enough to accept what I have to give. So it doesn't
Yes.
mean something's wrong with me or something's wrong with you if someone tells you that. It just means they can't handle that for some reason. And that's their dysregulation. That's not
Hmm.
yours. And it's very hard to see for some people if you haven't gone through the process of healing, if you haven't been able to go, it's not me, this is you. It's a you problem, as we say nowadays. Um, yeah. So we have to get more aware of ourselves and where are our cracks? What do we need to heal? What do we need to realize, oh, it's coming out again, but I'm aware enough to look at it and go, okay, let me stop this pattern right here because I know this is what it's about. This is not me, this is you. And we don't have to take in shame or take in, you're not enough. You have to people please or you're not good enough. So that's the gist of it there.
That's a challenging thing for us to understand in the moment. I know, God help me. It takes wisdom. It takes an ability to learn and open yourself up to growth, to
Mhm.
understand that someone else's perception is not your problem.
Right.
However they're perceiving you doesn't mean there's something wrong with you,
Mhm.
but it could be how they're seeing you, like you said, from the lens of the things that they've been through.
Mhm.
um, so where do you see people getting stuck in self blame instead of self understanding? Is it the fact that we've been conditioned to believe in survival mode?
Mhm.
I think it's all about conditioning because we teach ourselves that
Mhm.
we have a me problem.
Mhm.
There's something wrong with you.
Yes. You can get stuck in many different ways in self-blame. It can come from, I went through this with someone today. It can come from, how were you raised? Who was there for you? Did you get that holding environment when, as a baby, we have to think, as babies, think about how babies move. They can't control themselves, they can't grab things, they're just all over the place. You need an adult, a responsible caregiver who's able to take you as a baby and hold you and help you
Regulate.
regulate. That's co regulation at its most basic. And then you think about, okay, if I never got that, How do I move on to the next developmental stage of my life, which is I'm a toddler? I need to know that if I mess up, I fall down, toddlers go, no, I do it myself. But if you do that and then you go back and the person that's supposed to hold you and comfort you is not there, even at that young an age, you internalize that sensation of nobody's holding me, nobody's calming me down. That's the
Mhm.
stuff that I work with. That's the stuff that you can't see, that you can't verbalize. It's there, it affects you. That doesn't mean you can't relearn. And that's what it is. You have to relearn safety, relearn somebody's there for me in
Mhm.
order not to be stuck in self blame and shame. Otherwise, you may frequently or always be asking yourself, what did I do this time? I messed up again. And we accept all the negative because we always get negative feedback from
Mhm.
people. We get the trolls online, we get the negative comments and the podcasts or posts or whatever you do. We have to learn that's them, that's not me. That's them looking at something from how they were raised. Maybe they didn't get that either. But if you're aware of that and you change your patterns and you are able to say, let me look at whatever comes up. Should I feel ashamed? Is this something that I really shouldn't have done? Or is this because this story happened to me and I don't know what to do yet? I need to learn how to do. Or
Mhm.
is this because of the other person bringing their perspective, their experience into the situation and trying to put it on you? Um, and they haven't done their healing, or, they got stuck somewhere in their patterns.
Yeah, that makes perfectly good sense because the nervous system is a bit primal in terms of helping us with fight or flight. That's what it's supposed to be for. But
Mm-hmm.
over the course of a lifetime, when we're faced with multiple threats on a daily basis, which
Mm-hmm.
starts from our childhood,
Right.
uh, we begin to make survival mode a part of everyday living.
Mm-hmm.
And so, how can you help but not build neural pathways of shame and fear and
Mm-hmm.
guilt and all that stuff that comes when you feel like you're not enough, when your body is responding to something in
Mm-hmm.
those negative ways?
Mm-hmm.
Um, that's challenging.
Mm-hmm.
So, we talk about all these things to say what happened to you. What happened during the course of your development and growth
Mm-hmm.
that caused you to feel the way you do now?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and the nervous system isn't asking, how do I thrive? It's asking, am I safe? Am I connected? Am I in danger? Every day, every second of the day.
Mm-hmm.
So if your if your neural pathways have formed that connection and they are continuously firing all day every day,
Mm-hmm.
trying to protect you, keep you safe, keep you
Mm-hmm.
connected, keep you out of danger, we start developing all these survival responses.
Mm-hmm.
And it's actually fascinating to look at yourself, to actually become aware of all of this,
Mm-hmm.
like the epiphany that I share that I had, where someone was micro observing everything I did and told me that. So she could see everything that I was doing was wrong and was telling me that everything I was doing was wrong. And I thought, how can you say that about me when I know who I am? But I didn't know that some of the things that I was doing that she was considering were character flaws within me. I didn't know it had to do with nervous system a
Mhm.
dysregulated nervous system. And so that was a huge epiphany for
Mhm.
me. And, it's crucial, again, like we always talk, to be aware of what uh, is going on because it can easily get misinterpreted. So do you
Yes.
want to talk about some of the, I know we talk about fight, flight, freeze, fawn. Do you want to go
Mhm.
through a little bit of that and then add, what you do, how how
Mm.
uh, how you view those particular things?
So as far as looking at not what's wrong with me, because that's more of a negative mindset instead of a growth mindset. So we have to learn how to flip things around. So just to go through a brief summary. So survival responses, if something happens to you, not what's wrong with you, something happens to you, you might have to fight. It's about protecting yourself. It's about controlling a situation. You might feel like I need to get out of this situation because it's not safe. And even if I stay and try to control the situation, I might not make it through this fighting. So I'm going to run away. I'm going to escape because that's the safest route. Whatever situation you're in at any given time in your life, you might need to escape. It could be a work situation, it could be a relationship situation. I might need to escape if I'm going to say the wrong thing in a meeting, so I don't get fired. I might, because I've been offended and, my work integrity, things are questioned. That can trigger people. And you might need to just remove yourself from the situation. Let's see, freezing, shutting down, not responding. If you feel like no matter what I say, this situation's not gonna change, they're gonna keep blaming me, telling me it's my fault, I'm bad, there's something wrong with me. So we might just shut down so we don't have to deal with that in a sense. We're protecting ourselves from helplessness. So we freeze, we shut down. And fawning, that's a way of sometimes you need to do that to survive. I can't get food. I can't, my parents aren't going to help me eat, or my husband's not going to help me pay the bills if I don't do XYZ. So I need to people please, even if it's not something that comes natural in that situation. I still might need to people please so I can get through it and not feel like I'm a bad person and not feel guilty for things. You can reframe um, hypervigilance. That's a learned safety response. Um, you may be in a situation, again, I'm going to go back to the work situation because we haven't all experienced severe trauma or child abuse or neglect. Sometimes our traumas or our experiences, things that happen in adulthood. So you might be at work and you're doing your job and you got people telling on you even though you didn't do anything wrong. So you're going to be constantly scanning the environment. Who's going to say what? Is somebody coming after me? Are they going to report something that didn't even happen just to get me in trouble? Um, or at work, we might try to be a perfectionist. We need that approval. We feel good about ourselves and less guilty if we're performing, if we're perfect. So we're constantly trying to get people's approval, and that's not always possible. Um, Emotional numbness. Sometimes we get overloaded, overstimulated. We know that people aren't validating our feelings. People don't care what we feel or think. So we just, I don't care. I don't care. And you get used to saying, I don't care. And sometimes you don't even know what to feel anymore when you stuff all that down and you're protecting yourself from getting overloaded. So it just becomes a thing. I don't know what this emotion is. I'm just here. I'm just here.
Mm-hmm.
Or we overfunction. Um, we need connection. So we do a whole lot to connect with people. I'm going to reach out to them. I'm going to reach out to them. I'm going to reach out to them because we need that connection. We need that co regulation. We need to feel I'm okay. So a survival strategy might be I'm going to connect with everybody, be a social butterfly, be superficial, so to speak. Just trying to get that connection. It doesn't really mean as much to you if you're not aware enough of yourself. You're just doing stuff.
Right. And it's almost like we start performing for other people, um, just to be accepted, just to
Yeah.
be wanted, just to feel safe. And all these things that you were just talking about are your body's, it's like a natural response. It's an
Hmm.
intelligent response to
Hmm.
the threats that you face every day. And the thing is, we normalize those things and we go through life
Hmm.
constantly doing that, on the hamster wheel, until
Hmm.
some stick comes into the hamster wheel and stops it.
Hmm.
And that's again why we do regulate and rise. It's to help people become aware of situations, of behaviors, of, all these things are not inherently bad, that
Right.
like we think they are, or that other people judge us in.
Hmm.
It's actually our body responding intelligently to the threat.
Yes. Hmm.
So, what shifts, Tracy, when we stop calling these behaviors dysfunction and start seeing them as intelligent adaptation?
That's when we start seeing the story of our lives. That's when we start seeing I'm not this bad person people are pointing me out to be. I'm not this weakling. I'm not this pushover everybody can run all over. Those are dysfunctional ways of looking at things. And when we start calling these behaviors adaptation, this is what I needed to do to survive, to get through this situation today, to deal with this person today, to not get hurt today if I'm in an abusive situation, to whatever the case is. If we look at our survival skills as adaptations that keep us safe and protect us, ask yourself, what's wrong with needing to be safe? Don't we want to be safe? Don't we
Exactly.
want to feel okay? Don't we want to feel good? Have self esteem, self confidence? What's wrong with that? But if we look at it as what's wrong with you, that's dysfunctional. If we look at it as what happened to you,
Hmm.
if you look at it as dysfunction, you're just stuck in that negative mindset, can't get out of it, as Liana said, that hamster wheel. If you're focused on just negativity, you can't really grasp the positive. You can learn about it and hear about it, but it doesn't mean anything internally. But
Right.
if you can switch that mindset to, I had to do that to survive. I didn't have the skills that I have now because a lot of us look back and go, well, I could have done this, I should have done this. But you know,
Hmm.
in that survival moment, you did exactly what you needed with the knowledge you had in that moment to survive. And there's
Exactly.
nothing wrong with that. You survived.
Exactly.
And the more you can look at your survival responses as adaptations, you can start going, okay, then it wasn't a bad thing.
Hmm.
I didn't do something bad. Um, then you can start opening up your mind to look at what else happened to me? How did this affect me? Exploring that self awareness so you can figure out what happened to me and how can I work on growing myself and healing myself, not fixing myself, but
Hmm.
healing and really being aware so I can make conscious changes, so I can be in control in a positive way.
Hmm.
So,
Yeah, because I know I found myself about a week ago um, in a little bit of shame. I found
mhm,
myself feeling a little shame for not recognizing what was going on in the moment. And I thought, aren't I smarter than that? But my body was responding to the threat in the moment. So
mhm,
you don't have clarity when you're in those moments.
mhm,
And it's really, it can be very challenging.
mhm,
So people need to understand that your behaviors make sense because you're adapting to the situation on the fly, and
mhm,
your body and all your like neural pathways have developed this process. If you've been living in survival mode for any amount of time, like a lot of us
mhm,
have and do on a daily basis,
mhm,
uh, your body has adapted to those behaviors. And so you really do have to choose to want to change those, to want to
mhm,
transform. It's
mhm,
like going to the gym. You have to want to lift those weights or push
mhm,
yourself to exhaustion to transform.
mhm, mhm,
And so you can do that with regulation of your nervous system, and you can come into a completely
mhm,
different way of being. And I was teaching my grandson this morning about that. You know, when someone is focused in negativity for a good portion of their lives, they cannot see anything but what they're focused on. It's like you're
right.
hyper focused
Mhm,
on everything horrible that's happened to you, every trauma that has occurred, every time someone spoke a word out of line to you.
mhm,
It can be challenging, but you have to choose
mhm,
to focus on what it is you want to create.
mhm,
And so your behaviors do make sense. Like if you're an overachiever and you can't
mhm,
stop doing, you equate performance to your worth, and that equals
mhm,
safety.
mhm,
Performance is safety.
mhm,
Um, if you're an avoider, if you're avoiding something, like you keep putting it off,
mhm,
the task is equals the threat response. If you procrastinate, there's a reason why you're procrastinating. That's avoidance.
mhm,
That's avoiding, maybe I'll be successful, or I haven't been successful for so long and I've tried all these things,
mhm,
so it's not going to work. My body has formed these thoughts that it's not going to work. So I'm going to avoid trying again for the long
mhm,
time because I don't want to feel that. And then um, with the people pleasing, like you were talking about earlier, I can't
mhm,
say no.
mhm,
Connection required self abandonment, you know?
mhm,
And then if you're emotionally numb, like you don't
mhm,
feel anything, wow, that comes from a lot of shoving things down
mhm,
and not wanting to deal with them because it's too overwhelming. And and then sometimes you want to avoid confrontation with the
mhm,
person that might be in your environment that's causing that.
mhm,
Um, it's like it's just overwhelming.
mhm,
So, what if your hardest pattern is actually your oldest protection? Think about that.
mhm,
The hardest thing it is for you in life, whether it be lack,
mhm,
overachieving, any of these nervous system responses, that
mhm,
could be your oldest protection of
mhm,
yourself, of your ego, of your
mhm,
spirit, of your physical body, of all of that.
mhm.
What say you, Tracy?
I agree. Because your patterns, once you become aware of them, that's when you start picking them apart. So when you start working on self awareness, oftentimes you just start with, this is hard, or this sucks the way I am. Just admitting those things can create, I want change.
Hmm.
I don't like this. What can I do to help myself? How can I increase my awareness so I'm not doing these patterns anymore? And when you start digging into that, that's when you realize I had to do this to survive. I learned to do this just so I could get through every day.
Hmm.
And then you decide, okay, I like this pattern. Some people like their patterns.
That's true.
Yeah, and all patterns, you can find good in the patterns. What worked for you? Why did you do it? Okay, let's find another way to reach that goal. For
Hmm.
example, if you are people pleasing because you want approval, how else can you get approval? How can you accept yourself so that you feel like, I don't need your approval. I would like your approval. But if I don't get it, I'm not going to fall apart because I know that this is what I want. This is how I am, whatever the case is. Um, so that's what I have to say on the topic. The more aware you are of your patterns, the more you can change and understand how you protected yourself and how that developed in the first place. So,
Agreed. Agreed. And curiosity
mhm,
changes everything. Getting curious about why you reacted this way or why it's been a pattern throughout your life. Why am I doing this?
mhm,
Why do I feel this way in this situation? Why do I react that way when X happens? You
mhm,
know. So like judgment, when we're judging ourselves, we ask, what's wrong with me?
mhm,
And if we're being curious, we ask, when did this start? When
mhm.
did this behavior start? How far back? What happened to me as a child?
Right.
You know, what happened to me as a teenager?
Mhm,
What could have gone on in school that dysregulated me and made me start
mhm.
adapting with these behaviors? Um, why can't I stop? That's judgment.
Right.
It's a me focused thing. What's wrong with
Mhm.
me? Why can't
Right.
why can't I do this? Curiosity asks, what did this behavior protect me from?
Mhm.
And another judgment question that we ask ourselves is, why am I like this?
Mhm.
Instead of being curious, when you're curious, you're going to ask, what is my body trying to do for me? Your body.
Mhm. Right.
How's your body responding?
Mhm.
So, where, Tracy, where have you personally seen cases where curiosity has softened people's judgment? Have you had that with any of your clients and in your
Almost every
experience?
day.
Hmm.
Yes. We are our own worst critics. And a lot of times that's because we don't understand ourselves. We expect more of ourselves than others. Um, but you can soften your judgment. I've had clients who have abandonment issues now and they're struggling with keeping connections. I've developed this romantic relationship, but then all of a sudden it's over. I don't understand. What did I do wrong?
Hmm.
They said I was too much, or they said they didn't really like me, you know, but it's always, what did I do wrong? What's wrong with me? And the more I get people to see, because I don't tell people, this is what's going on with you, this is what happened to you. I get them to tell me their story. As you speak your story out loud, you have your aha moments. It helps you process. It literally helps you process. If you write it down in journal or if you speak it out loud, Your mind's letting go of things. It's not keeping that in your nervous system stuck. You're talking about it. Talking is a way to regulate your nervous system through coaching, through therapy, through whatever you can, supportive friends. It doesn't always have to be a therapist or a coach. But if you can learn to practice opening up, letting things out, then you can look at them, literally look at them and
Hmm.
go, this is, oh, that makes sense now. This is what happened. And you have your aha moments, and you
Hmm.
can stop being so hard on yourself. You can
Yeah.
say, I didn't like what happened to me. I didn't like how they treated me, and I know it wasn't my fault. I might have made some mistakes. Nobody's perfect, but I know the way they perceive me is from their point of view because of what happened to them. So
Hmm.
that can help you say, "Oh, that makes sense." It's not just me. That's partly because of how they see things.
Exactly. I think we really need to give ourselves some grace. Grace. That's the word for today. Give yourself grace.
Mhm,
Be able to look at yourself objectively
mhm,
versus judgmentally.
mhm,
This whole discussion is about how we've developed shame and guilt and all these things. There's nothing wrong with you. It's your body responding to the threat.
right.
Whatever you've developed in your neural pathways throughout your life that you are responding to as a threat.
Mhm,
That's point blank period. That's creates a lot of aha moments for people.
mhm,
And
mhm,
being willing to look at yourself,
mhm,
have grace with yourself, and be gentle with you. Be gentle.
mhm. Yeah, and I've been blessed it's a privilege for people to open up to me. I am not the authority on you. Nobody is the authority on you except you. So I've been blessed with the privilege to help people get to the point where I can tell them, give yourself some grace. You did not create this situation. You could not control the situation, it was outside of your control. You did what you needed to do to survive, to feel okay, so you wouldn't fall apart as a
Hmm.
child, as an adult, as a parent, as a grandparent, as a partner, as a wife, a husband, as an employee. You did what you needed to do to get through several many. I had a great English teacher, several, and I was valedictorian. There you go.
That's
But to
right.
get through several of those tough moments, you did what you needed to do to survive.
Exactly. So give yourself grace.
Yes. And tell yourself you are the prize, you are worth it. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
But yeah, when you can give yourself that grace, you can go, I am not as bad as I thought I was. I am not what people created me to be.
Hmm.
I am who I am with my flaws, with my strengths, with my passions, whatever the case is. You know, I am who I am. I am valuable. Um,
And one of my mentors told me at one point in my journey,
mhm.
nothing is good or bad until you label it that way. So
Right.
if you label your behaviors as bad,
Mhm.
that's how you're going to think about yourself.
Mhm.
If if you understand that you've been operating from survival mode and have adapted these behaviors based on the threats and trying to keep yourself
Mhm.
safe your whole life,
Mhm.
then you're going to understand a lot more
Right.
about you,
Mhm.
and then you get to change it, which is a
Mhm.
beautiful thing. So let's listen to our bodies a little bit here.
Mm-hmm.
Think of a pattern. Think of a pattern in yourself that you judge in yourself. Notice your body as you're judging yourself. Where do you feel that in your body?
Mm-hmm.
Is it in your chest? Is it in your throat, your stomach, your hips, your back, your shoulders? Where do you
Mm-hmm.
feel that? Is it tightness? Is that how it appears? Is that how it shows up?
Mm-hmm.
Tightness in your body? Do you feel like you're going to collapse at times? Do you feel heat in any of those areas where you feel those patterns that you're judging in yourself? Do you feel any form of numbness in those parts of your body? Feel that for a minute because a lot of times we don't pay attention to those things. Now ask, what might this be protecting me from?
Mm-hmm.
And see what comes up for you. Because the body tells the truth before the mind catches up.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're in tune with your body, you're going to know.
Mm-hmm.
So, Tracy, do you want to lead us in the closing reflection today?
Sure. So think about what you just did with Liana and think about what you found out about what's going on in my body. And just ask yourself, what if nothing's wrong with you? And you can place your hand on your heart, over your heart, take a breath, notice your breathing pattern, breathe out, and just think, what if nothing's wrong with me? What if nothing's wrong with you? What if something happened to you? What if your nervous system has been doing its best to protect you? And now ask yourself, what would change if I stopped judging myself and started understanding myself and say that there's nothing wrong with me? I've been through some things. Things happen to me. There's nothing wrong with me. And start thinking along the lines of not judging myself. I'm going to understand myself.
So remember, you are not broken. Give yourself grace because you're patterned. Sometimes you're looping in a pattern your entire life, but now you know why, and now
Mm-hmm.
you can do something about it. Patterns can be understood,
Mm-hmm.
softened, and rewired. So
Right.
just remember that. And Tracy and I will be here every week helping you learn things about yourself, discover new things, and teaching you how to regulate and rise in your life. So if this landed for you, share it with somebody who keeps asking themselves, what's wrong with me? And remind them that nothing is wrong, something happened. So until next time,
Mm-hmm.
keep regulating and keep rising.
Mm-hmm.
And make sure you share, you like, you comment, and bring a guest with you to regulate and rise next time because we can all learn something about this through this process.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you for being with us this evening. We appreciate you. And
Thank you.
until Go ahead, Tracy.
I said thank you very much for the privilege of being with you.
Eh, That's it. It's a privilege to have you with us. So thank you, and we will see you next week on Regulate and Rise.